Hello dear viewers. Today I will explain how the S cancel works and how to do 100% reproducible double casts without using your E.
Learn from your mistakes.
So if you're a Riven player, you know that you can double cast any two spells alongside your Q, or any spell alongside your Q after your E animation is complete. For example, I could do a WQ there, cancel out the W animation, or I could do a Tiamat Q there,
spirit is not
or an ult Q, like that. But the question is, how can we do that without needing to use our shield? And the answer is with the S key. And so the S key allows you to, if you press the S key immediately after one of your cast times, like the WDR or the Profane Hydra, anything that has this bar here. You can see all four of those spells have the bar, or three of them. You can press the S key immediately following the input of that cast time spell, and then also your Q. You have to press your Q right after as well. So in this case, W, I would do WSQ, or RSQ,
they cannot
or
go unpunished.
Hydra SQ, and you get this sort of funky Q animation. And you'll notice that you don't need to do an auto attack beforehand to make this work either, which is some people have believed is the case. You need to do an auto, but you do not need to. The only thing that needs to be true is that you are within range of the enemy, close enough that when you press Q on them, you don't have to do this travel. You don't have to travel any distance with your Q. And that means you can't do it if you're not hovering over an enemy unit. For example, if I'm queuing through an enemy or not hovering over them, Q travels no matter what, because that's how Riven Q works. But if I hover him and I'm within range, then your character doesn't move, and this is when it's always possible to do the double cast with the S cancel. If you're within the Q range, and this is the Q range, you can see right here I'm now outside of my Q range, just barely from the middle of the unit. This will not work, even though I could do it perfectly every time. But if I am within Q range, maybe even right here, it might still work. It's very, but there's a pretty forgiving range, but you just have to, right now I'm not in range. But if I was just a tad closer, it would work. So that's all that needs to be the case for this S cancel to work, is that you need to be within your Q range of the enemy, which happens to be your stun range as well, you know, fortunately, which is good. But now I want to talk about the main applications, and the only application of this tech that I've been able to pull off in game, and also what I believe to be by far the most valuable use of it, is to cancel the R2 animation during this during the stun as cancel. So you know the enemy can't act during the stun, and you get the R2 and the Q, and you do an extra load of damage that you would not be able to without double casting with your E. So in this case, you'll always need to have a leftover, I'll turn off my cooldowns right now, a leftover Q to cancel this R2 animation with. So, you know, normal Riven combo, you might lead with an ER, start fighting, and now right now I only have one Q left, so I'll do, I can do an auto, like I just did, obviously, but I would do something like, the whole auto thing doesn't matter, right? And as long as I'm within range of the enemy in my Q, I can do this combo. So in this case, let me activate my ult again. I simply did a WSQ R2, like so, and the Q went off, and you can see because it's got one, but it's very subtle whenever it's not a Q3. So I ended up just doing WSQ R2, and that comes out just like for a ton of extra damage, and for absolutely no counterplay because they're stunned for that time period. But the extra element that I have found to be very satisfying to do as well is to add the Tiamat at the end of that combo. So you'll start a fight. I use a double cast there for my E animation. Now I have one more Q left. So I did a WSQ, and then R2 came out. I use the R2 during my Q, and then after all that, I'm just hitting Profane. And obviously, mixing in autos everywhere is the name of the game. So this is definitely the most applicable combo